before we knew it, we were in Red Jackson Station again. I think this is going to be it for the night, said Hannah. Bye, Hannah, I said. Bye, Marcus, I loved you, said Hannah. Then Hannah went down to the platform. I then went back to Robbinsog. So, Mom and Dad, what did you think of Hannah? I asked my mom and dad as I re-entered Robbinsog. Will you make her become an heiress if you choose to marry her? My dad asked. Of course, I said. Then I approve of her 100%. And I am taking the same stance as your dad, said my mom. I then entered my room and decided to talk with Sam and George. So, what did you two think of Hannah? I asked Sam and George as I was entering the room. She's so cool. We want you to marry her now, said George loudly. Me and Sam almost choked with how hard we were laughing, and I think our parents heard us because we heard laughing through the outside of our room too. Not yet, and probably not for many years. You learn when you're older, I explained to George. That still made Sam laugh. Okay, well, let me know if you change your mind, George just said. That made Sam laugh again. Now I am having the hiccups, so I went to the kitchen to prepare a glass of water. While I was preparing my glass of water, my parents began talking to me again. You realize we heard the entire conversation you were just having with your brothers? My mom asked. Yeah, I said. One more quick question. You'd like to ask you because it was brought up at the dinner table, my dad said as I was drinking my water to kill my hiccups. What is it? I asked. When you were gone the past 2 weeks, we know you won't tell us where you took your brothers to. However, was it Cermak Road? Because I don't want you on that street west of Chinatown. It is a bad neighborhood, my dad asked. I promise you it is not Cermak Road, I said. Is it a bad neighborhood, period, my mom asked. No, I said firmly. Fine, that's all I wanted to know, said my mom. We know you would take good care of your brothers like that. Just know that there aren't going to be many food options if you do that, said my dad. And don't take them to the soup kitchen, because that makes you look like a con man, said my mom. Your rules are written in my stone head, I said. That's how we want you to operate, except unfortunately over the summer, that's not how you did because of how you behaved. But we know you do now, and that is fine, said my dad. I shrugged and then went to my room. I then laid on my bed, and soon after, George began pestering me nicely. Just wondering, why do you have to be older to date? George asked. Because that is how society functions. Because older people are more mature, I answered. Remember, Mom said she met Dad around his 11th birthday and she was 18 at the time, said George. Yeah, said Sam. I'm 5 and I'm almost 6 now. I am wondering, why can't I date yet, George asked. It's hard to explain, I said to Sam. It's just kids have difficulty making decisions, said Sam. Also, you can't date until Mom and Dad give you permission, I said. But let me ask them for permission, George said. George then left our room and shut the door. While he was talking out there, me and Sam couldn't hear what was going on, and it looks like a full-blown conversation between him and my parents was building up, so I began to talk to Sam. I understand why you gush about her, said Sam. I know, I said. Sam then went to the closet and took out his cloak. What are you bringing that out for, I asked Sam. I have had the same cloak since the beginning of 3rd grade. It may be time to replace it, Sam said. It was $50 for me to have that cane remade and get the new cloak. Is that a steal? Oh yeah, and you and George don't use canes. I'm willing to bet money. The cane was the more expensive part of it. How did you get the money to pay for that then? We may have discussed this already, But do you remember do you remember that I got this job after I went through the window in Mom's hospital on Paulina and she lost her job? There was a fight and I stole $100. There was a fight and I stole $100 from Aunt Diane. Really? That's why Aunt Diane, Heather, and Catherine want nothing to do with me. Aunt Heather was taking George here. That is what I remember. Either way, she found out about it and she wants nothing to do with me, along with my other two aunts, until I am no longer Doctor Marcacius. How long will that be? Just wondering. I don't know. Really, I feel like Mom and Dad have been treating you nicer. It has to be for a noticeable amount of time. I have a feeling that another fight is going to break out sometime later this week. Oh, I see. George then came back in. Did you have a nice talk with Mommy? I asked George. We did. She basically explained to me the same thing you did while I was cuddling her, said George. We were then chatting in our room for a little bit, and then my mom opened the door. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation a little bit from earlier, my mom said when she opened the door. Yeah? What's up about it? I asked. Sam, did you say you feel like it's time to get a new cloak? My mom asked. Yeah, said Sam. George, let me take a look at yours, said my mom. Okay, Georgia said. My mom then went to her closet and shuffled the clothes around until she found George's cloak. Yep, said my mom, after she looked and touched George's cloak a little bit. Yep, what? George asked. We're gonna get you all new cloaks at the store where Hannah works. Your father and I feels like it's time for us to get new ones too, said my mom. I don't need one. I replaced it a few weeks ago, I reminded my mother. I know that, but will you still come with us? My mom asked. Of course, because Hannah will be involved, I said. What days does she work? My mom asked. Any day that is not the weekend when she is not in law school, I said. Days of the week, my mom asked. Tuesdays and Thursdays, said my mom. How much would you say it would cost us? My mom asked. I estimate about $40 total, I answered. What a steal, my mom said. We're going to decide between Tuesday and Thursday, asked Sam. I need to check my schedule, said Mom. And I need to double check with Hannah to make sure she is working on those days. Will you call her? Sam asked. Tomorrow, I said. Remind me, Chinatown is south on the Red Line? I haven't been there in so long, my mom asked. Yes, 3 stops south of Jackson, I answered. Can you navigate us on what to do once we get off of the station? Yes, I answered. That's all I wanted to know. Good night, boys, said my mom. Good night, Mom, we all said at once. My mom then shut the door and we all fell asleep because we all had school tomorrow. 2 days later, the rest of my family got their new clothes.